Hail hits Texas solar farm with toxic consequences? ? In today's show, we examine the March 2024 Texas solar farm hailstorm and coverage by several of our county commissioners, along with their latest efforts to ban commercial solar. There's a battle raging against commercial solar farms in Reno County. This is part of a bigger war that started at the national level and is now filtered down to my neck of the woods. In this series, I examine individual aspects of this struggle in depth to see how well they hold up under scrutiny. At their March 27th meeting, Reno County Commissioners Ron Hirst and Don Bogner spoke about a Texas solar farm hit by hail and the aftermath.
In the events that happened just recently in Texas, where there was somewhere close to 10,000 acres of solar panels that were hammered, and I don't know how many were destroyed, but it did puncture. When some people said it wouldn't puncture the exterior, it did. Baseball-size hail will. And I know that there has not been any discovery of any harmful chemicals such as PFAS or arsenic or any of that discovered yet out of this close to 10,000 acres. We don't know what the effect might be later on down the line. I'm personally not willing to risk my children, grandchildren, and your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren on what's known today when we've learned lots of things in the past regarding this. And so I would basically say item 4, okay, Counselor, is that we prohibit a large-scale utility or solar energy system commercial and only allow limited solar as defined in regulated Article 25 to be applied to the whole county.
I was going to add to what Ron said about the incident in Texas and what glared out at me that we don't have, and apparently nobody has researched, is there's no third party to check on whether those chemicals are there. Nothing's ever good. Ron made the statement, well, they can't say whether it's caused a problem or not. Well, you can't say if you don't have anybody to go in and regulate it and check it out. It's never going to happen.
So, what are the facts? Let's examine commissioners' statements individually and see how they hold up.
In the events that happened just recently in Texas, where there was somewhere close to 10,000 acres of solar panels that were hammered, and I don't know how many were destroyed, but it did puncture. When some people said it wouldn't puncture the exterior, it did. Baseball-size hail will.
The commissioner is referring to the Fighting Jays solar farm located southwest of Houston, Texas. A nasty hailstorm made its way through the area on March 15, 2024. The panels on this farm are bifacial polycrystalline silicon mounted on single-axis trackers. Bifacial panels produce power from light hitting both the front and the back. As you can see, the backs of these panels are still intact. The solar trackers point them east and west following the sun throughout the day. According to the Fighting Jays website, this farm is 3,300 acres, not 10,000 acres, producing 350 megawatts of power. Even with all this damage, the farm is still in operation. My best guess is that it's around 20% capacity in this condition. While it's true that these panels can be punctured, as can anything given enough force, in this clip, I don't see any. What I see is laminated glass doing what it's supposed to do, absorbing the impact and holding the panel together. Basically, solar panels are put together kind of like the safety glass in your car's windshield, with layers of tempered glass and layers of flexible plastic that are laminated together under heat and pressure. In this type of panel, lead is the heavy metal we are concerned with and is found in the form of solder connecting the individual cells in the panel. The center layer contains about 14 grams of lead per panel. For comparison, your car battery holds over 8,000 grams. The lead solder lines are not brittle. They are semi-flexible and will deform and possibly tear, but not shatter. By the way, the trackers should have helped prevent hail damage by stowing the panels at a steep angle so the hail would skip off of them. Obviously, this did not happen. Insurance companies and operators are keenly aware of these risks, and you can bet on additional protection measures such as automated hail monitoring being required in the future. Interesting side note, FEMA's National Hail Risk Index actually has Reno County listed as relatively low risk on their latest hail map for Kansas.
And I know that there has not been any discovery of any harmful chemicals such as PFAS or arsenic or any of that discovered yet out of this close to 10,000 acres. We don't know what the effect might be later on down the line.
You wouldn't expect to find arsenic or PFAS because they simply aren't in these panels. We are concerned with lead, which is in these panels. Most likely, a company specializing in cleanup and restoration will be hired to come out and pick up any debris laying on the ground, unbolt the damaged panels, and then install new ones. If there were lead debris laying on the ground, they would most likely still have plastic encapsulation attached. Also, lead is not soluble in water. The risk of lead contaminating the soil in this way is extremely minimal. If lead lying on the ground for a short period was actually an issue, then hunting would be completely banned nationwide, and an old barn with flaking lead paint would instantly become a Superfund site. It's in the best interest of the solar farm to become fully operational again, so restoration is a top priority and will happen as fast as the supply chain allows.
I'm personally not willing to risk my children, grandchildren, and your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren on what's known today when we've learned lots of things in the past regarding this.
I agree that we should protect future generations. That's a noble thought. But I'm fuzzy on the what's known today when we've learned lots of things in the past bit. Since 2005, we built thousands of solar farms across the U.S. If water pollution and panel toxicity were an issue, we'd have empirical evidence of it by now. But we don't. Studies show the exact opposite. Our children are going to inherit a much warmer world with a much greater demand for electricity. Fossil fuels are not renewable and have severe documented and very real side effects. The burning of coal releases mercury and lead into the air. In fact, everybody alive today has lead in their blood thanks to the burning of coal and leaded gasoline. If we don't want our great-grandchildren to live in a Mad Max-like world, we need to stop squandering our fossil fuels and start adding renewables in significant quantities.
So I would basically say item 4, okay, Counselor, is that we prohibit a large-scale utility or solar energy system commercial and only allow limited solar as defined in regulated Article 25 to be applied to the whole county.
Okay. Well, this was Commissioner Hirst's first attempt in this meeting to unilaterally ban commercial solar. He'd go on to try again. As you can see, in this segment, the reason given was the hailstorm in Texas. Luckily, there is a process to be followed for a ban, and we'll get to have a public hearing and public input.
I was going to add to what Ron said about the incident in Texas and what glared out at me that we don't have, and apparently nobody has researched, is there's no third party to check on whether those chemicals are there.
Well, ABC 13 in Houston had contacted Fort Bend County, Texas leaders who said hazmat crews visited the area days later and found no contamination. County leaders also told ABC 13 that the Texas Commission of Environmental Quality was investigating. Even the EPA has gotten involved with solar farm environmental issues in the past. I personally feel there are third parties ready and willing to make sure that soil and water contamination is not an issue. Given the fact that solar farms present such a minimal risk to the land, it is in the operator's best interest to cooperate fully with governmental investigations and even encourage testing after a major weather event such as this. To sum it up, the hailstorm that hit a Texas solar farm in March was an unfortunate insurance event, nothing more. As our climate warms, severe weather events are becoming more common. When a home is destroyed in a storm, do we call for a ban on homes? No. We show empathy and we rebuild. And finally, I'm working on an upcoming video about solar farms and imagined toxic threats to our Cheney Lake watershed. It's pretty detailed and also covers actual documented threats that already exist in the watershed. It should be out soon, so stay tuned for that one. And as always, thanks for watching.